Professor Zhang, so good to see you here in Paris. So much attention has been focused on President Xi's state visit to France. What do you think will be the significance, the results out of this state visit?
This visit is important in the sense that this particular timing, for one thing, is the 60th anniversary of the Sino-French diplomatic ties established. As we know, historically, that's important because General de Gaulle at that time made a decision. He said that we should understand China and hear Chinese voices. And at the same time, China gave positive response. So in today's context, when we look back at this historical episode, the French sense of independence and the Chinese sense of independence, both are very important as they match each other. This is a part of the multipolar world, and we have to have more democracy in the international arena. So I think this is important both for Sino-French relationship and also for Sino-European relationship.
You also alluded to the concept of strategic autonomy that has been emphasized by President Macron. To what extent do you think France can really walk the talk and really exercise this strategic autonomy and forge stronger ties with China?
Personally, I think, judging from Macron's talk in Sorbonne, not far away from here, he said European strategic independence is so important, otherwise Europe's identity will be lost. So it's a very strong statement, and he thinks this represents the future of Europe. I think as Chinese, we support that position. China is one of very few countries that has always been supportive of Europe's independence and Europe playing a role as a multipolar world. And somehow in recent years, even not only Chinese, but also many other people from other countries feel that Europe somehow lost its identity, somehow become follower of the United States, which may not be true or may be true, but that's the view of many other countries. So if France and Europe can emphasize a bit more of its own independent decision-making, its own distance from external powers, which is appreciated and will be appreciated.
Do you think France, given its unique tradition, sharing a long history and culture and civilization, France, because of that, is in a unique position to understand China's unique system, something that you have been talking so much about in your program, This is China?
In relative terms, I think the French people and the French intellectuals may have better understanding of Chinese culture and Chinese civilization. At least those who understand China are perhaps more than many other countries, which is historically true. But on the other hand, we also feel that indeed, somehow this independent tradition has suffered a bit for all kinds of reasons, which is regrettable. But as we have already discussing different issues here with the French think tanks, intellectuals, we can see there's still some commonalities between us. We can seek commonality while reserving some differences.
Finally, talking about differences, a lot of Western headline focuses on human rights and on democracy, the different definitions of democracy. How do you think China and France can overcome those differences and manage their differences?
Interestingly, this time there were far fewer voices on these issues. For one thing, even this EU leadership began to talk about how outsiders view Europe as pursuing double standards, especially with this crisis in Gaza. And many people felt, even Europeans felt, their countries, their politicians somehow pursue double standards. So this time, from my talks with French friends here over the past 2 days, there are far less talk about democracy and human rights. For one thing, Chinese would lecture back, you don't pursue double standards. That's important.